My legal name is Scott Grace, and you are watching the Break It Down show.
Why not, right? Why not? I love it. I love that. First off, this is great. I have a lunch with Scott Graves, and so I've got these two different Scotts in my head right now. I love that we get to do this, Scott. I love that we get to share the space, share the time across distances and everything else, but I get to meet incredible people. And just from the few minutes of pre-show antics that we've done, it's been a fantastic beginning to a relationship. You're a cool dude. You're pleasant to talk to, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you more.
I appreciate that. And to mispronounce my name would be a Graves mistake.
Well, we're not going to do that today.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it is. I'm probably not going to call you Scott Grace all the time either. I'm probably just going to call you Scott. So
that'd be nice.
We were talking off mic about John Davidson and his. There's a clip of him. Look, this guy's a professional entertainer and has been for decades. And he was on the show with us, plays the guitar like you do. Like he'll pick up the guitar and start playing and singing songs, very musical. But there is a time where he was on the Johnny Carson show, standing on the star of the stage, his chance to shine, and he could not pull the lyrics of the song. He could not get it together. He had a couple of failed starts, but with millions and millions of people watching, kept at it, and then cracked it, and then sang the song that was wonderful. You can imagine what that feels like when your brain locks up. And
I don't have to imagine it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. But we all love to see so-called polished performers. What do they do when they get human, when they forget something, when they're not perfect? And I think Johnny Carson was my first role model of someone who not only had a graceful way of making mistakes and turning them into moments that were, like with Saturday Night Live, I love to watch the times people break character and just start cracking up. We love seeing people screw up. Sometimes it's more entertaining than following the script.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that?
I believe that we humans are all screw-ups. Religiously speaking, I don't like the word sinners, but that's kind of what I think that the traditional church is trying to get. We screw up. And when we watch famous people screw up and then forgive themselves and enjoy the moment, it gives us permission to flow more gracefully with falling on our face and maybe even laughing and getting up without making it such a big deal.
Right. Yeah. And, you want to see character from people that you like. You want to see them have to go through something to show you that they've got it.
Yeah.
And, because otherwise you just give it to them. But, when it shows up and you see it, it's usually a hard lesson. And when you see, you're like, man, that's a person that, I had a commander and he said, gave me this impossible task. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. And he's like, doesn't matter how you pull it off. Just matters that you get after it. If you get it done, I'm going to be super thankful. It is hard. I know it's impossible, but if no one tries, we can't get it done. So I want you to go out there and do it. And if you fail, then all right, we know it's impossible. But I'm not giving it to you because it's easy. I'm giving it to you because you're good at what you do. And boy, I was a fired up motherfucker after that. I'm like, I'm going to go get after it. And we got it done, and so. Yeah. He got so much more out of me, because I'd be like, I've put enough time into this. I wasn't like the greatest in the army of having a task and doing it, like I would get it done. But if I reach a point where like, hey, you guys gave me the wrong tools for the job. I've done my best. I'm going to move on. But I learned what doing my best could be. And it unlocked a lot of things for me. And it was a chance for me to show my character. And I saw the character of the person who was leading me, and I liked it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There's many ways of growing up and becoming all you can be. Sometimes you have to join the army. Remember that slogan? Be all you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, one of my Dr. Seuss type poems, which is about the inner critic, it says, the critic wants you to be all you can be. So it gives you these pep talks all day and for free. Talking about the inner critic telling you you're not good enough. So, but to have a really good sergeant or a good role model, somebody who demands a lot of you and is not going to chastisement you if you don't fulfill the mission. That's kind of like a reparenting. It's a good father figure there.
Yeah, and it really, I didn't always rise to that challenge because we're humans. But it definitely let me know where the standard was for me, and I was able to be all that I could be in a lot more situations. It's like, hey, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to need to sleep. Also, I learned how to modulate my effort. So if you're in combat, you're working, 16, 20-hour days, sometimes 36-hour days. And you're like, hey, I need to go take a nap. I'm not because I'm tired, but I have to rest my brain,
Yeah.
And you get the younger guys who don't have the savvy and they'd be like, oh, you're going to take a nap. And I'm like, yeah, I promise you guys aren't going to win the war before I get back. Like there's going to be plenty of war here. And so learning how to achieve, but also put some elegance in my fury of work, right? That took me to another level yet again, because I knew how to rest my brain. So my brain would be like, here are answers, and feed me the information I needed.
At ease, soldier, at ease.
Let's talk about spirituality, because I know that's part of what you do. And
spirituality, sir. Any questions, sir?
No, I don't mean all that. Whenever I see the word agape in someone's description, I think about the different forms of Greek love, right? We struggle with describing love in English because we just say love, and it means a lot of things. My friends tell me they love me. My daughter tells me they love me. I love the Dodgers. I love tacos. These are all different things, though, right?
Very much so. You cannot compare Dodgers and tacos.
Right.
No, I love can mean I like, I'm fond of, I want, I can't imagine life without you, I need you. I mean, there's so many things. Using those words I love. I had a girlfriend once, we used to play a game where when somebody said, I love you, the other person would say, thank you. What do you mean by that? Or if those words weren't available right now, how else would you describe what you're feeling? Just something that because those words can be very lazy. It can be a way of just, I'm not going to reveal what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking. I'm just going to, I love you.
Yeah.
Lazy words, in my opinion.
There's some mindfulness in that, right? When you greet someone and I'm like, hey, Scott, how's your back? I really don't care what you say after that. But it's part of the performance. Or like, look, and I'll be hard on people. Like when you come up and you say, thank you for your service. Like, yeah, I understand the obligation to say that and I appreciate it. And now I've got to go and be like, hey, it's all right. Whatever I did, and all of a sudden there's just this awkward, needless conversation because you care, but we're not acting like we care. And so now I have to act like I care that you said the thing that you don't care, and if you get into this whole thing, or you just blow it off and you let it be a function of the conversation and move forward. All right.
Yeah, I'll go with the latter. Yeah, I've got a beef with traditional greetings, hi, how are you? It's just gotten a lot, the authenticity of connection has gotten lost in the greetings. I would prefer we just outlaw them all and have to improvise real connection, real conversation, real questions. Yeah. And if you're not interested, just say hi instead of hi, how are you? How was your week? Yeah. Just hi. Yeah. I would like that.
There's a little bit of luck casting in greetings and salutations and goodbyes. And so, I always say hey, stay safe.
I like
bidding
that.
You a good journey, right? But it's just automatic words coming out of my mouth. It is the one I choose to say. I'm mindful when I say it, but I say it stops, and then my investment stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put up with that as long as that's just it's like, okay, it's foreplay. As long as we have real connection after the foreplay, I'll put up with foreplay. I don't know why I'm using the word foreplay, because foreplay is good. It's a good thing, not just for women, but you know what I mean? Like, let's
can't go thundering towards the clitoris. And John Cleese said that well in Monty Python. You have to take your time. Some things take time. We can't rush everything.
Indeed. So what do you want to talk about?
Pistol Pete? I think we're talking about it is
spirituality.
Look, it's the new year. Yeah, it's spirituality. It's mindfulness. When we sit down to coffee, it's easy to like dump all your shit on your friend because that's their job, right? It's to be like, yeah, dump all your shit on me. There's no judgment here. But then you have to flip the camera around and be like, tell me about you. And you really have to do your job to get them to unload their stuff as well. Or maybe that conversation isn't a give and exchange like that. But it's easy to talk about our stuff. Oh my God, my back, my iguana, my truck. My truck is in the shop right now. We were just talking, I sent you a thing. That's a little bit of a stressor for me. I'm waiting for the bad news, right? And we can discuss all of those things in a conversation that makes us more connected, more rooted. I'm about to go home to my hometown to see a bunch of my friends, check in with them. And I'm going to have opportunities to have wonderful conversations. And look, I'm not the oldest guy in the world. I'm 55, but the next one of my friends that drops dead from a heart attack or whatever is not going to be the first and certainly won't be the last. So these may be the last times I see these people because we don't always get together.
Yeah. That's an aliveness stimulator when you recognize that this may be the last. It kind of wakes me up, like my mother's 96, and it's easy to do this with her, where every time I speak to her, I am very aware, meta aware, that it may be my last conversation, and boy, do I pour on the love, and she does the same thing. And it's like death and dying and the unpredictability of it all can make us scared and shrivel up, or it can make us open up and give. And that's what I aspire to.
Are you good at it?
I think so. In comparison to everyone else, I'm a master.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my judgments coming out, aren't they?
Yeah,
I love it.
But you can see it though, right? When you see someone slow down, and gosh, these damned phones, right? Like we're tied to them in so many ways. But if I allow myself to not need it and go to the store, I don't need my phone at the store. I know where the store is. I can memorize a list. I can bring a paper list, and then I just don't have that constant anxious connection to the big world. I'm not going to miss anything. That's a better version of me than
Pete. If you start bad mouthing our phone addictions, I'm afraid we're going to lose people. So let's sing. This is all right. All right. I don't know if that's going to work, but you can give it a shot. This is to the
no. I'm not going to play. I'm being silly.
Okay, I love it. I got the whole world in my phone. I got the whole wide world in my phone. I get the whole world in my phone. I get the whole world in my phone. I get Google and Siri in my phone. I got Google and Siri in my phone. That's why I always have it near me. My phone, I get the whole world in my phone. I don't need imagination. I got games. I don't need to use my voice. I got text. I don't need to use a condom. Porn's my favorite sex. I got the whole world in my phone.
Hey,
I know. How could I ever get bored? I got phone, how could I ever get lonely? I got phone, I think I found my one and only. Love my phone, I get the whole world in my phone. I won my wife and kids on eBay. On my phone, I was the highest bidder. On my phone, the kids don't need a babysitter. They got phones, they get the whole world in their phones.
I love it.
Oh boy, but there's a little edge to that song. I know it's like a cute little children's song, but no, it's making a point.
Yeah.
I don't need real connection. I have a substitute.
Yeah.
I don't need imagination. I have games.
Yeah.
I don't need to use my voice. I have text. And then the other line is just really for fun. I don't need to use a condom. Porn's the safest sex. But there is a point, which is, what have we done? We've replaced human connection with digital. And, you know, I have a beef with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we should, right? There's a place for it. It is a fantastic resource. You can look things up. You can listen to any song in the blink of an eye. But it does not replace sitting with the lake view, nice, just a decent bottle of wine, and a friend you've known for 40 years. You don't need a friend. You don't need a phone for that. You know? And it's so wonderful. My girl and I, the sun was coming up today, big, beautiful red sunrise. We're not sailors, so no worries. And just gorgeous, gorgeous. And we both took time to watch it. I tried to take a picture of my damn phone. My phone's like, I don't know what to do with that. And so it changed it, you know. But yeah, it was, you know, just 10 minutes of the time where the sun was just right. The sky was just right. The morning was just right. And let it be that way.
Yeah. Am I supposed to be promoting something?
Sure, why not? What do you want to do? You want to promote your YouTube playlist? What do you want to put up there?
Well, golly, you know, I just came out with a book.
Yeah.
I thought I had it. Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah, grab your book, man. I'll grab the link for the book.
I'm an author, a published author. Can you see from my background that I'm an author? If not, I will show you. Hello?
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right.
Yes.
See, there's a book called Mindful Masculinity. And
you know, it's so funny. The 3D, the green screen is trying to block out your book because it's like it's all the background to me.
And that man is
there you go.
That man on the cover. That's me. This is an AI version of me.
Oh,
but
okay.
This is what I really look like, especially single women. Take note. That's me. All right. So that my latest book, it's called Mindful Masculinity, and it's for women and men, and it's kind of a memoir / humor piece with lots of poetry and storytelling about my journey in becoming more and more authentic and less concerned with what the stereotypes say masculinity should look like.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put the link up for everybody. You guys can go to Amazon and get this. It'll be in the show notes as well. But if you look at it'll be across the screen here in one moment, and then you will have that and you can get the book. And you guys know what I always say: buy two, buddy read. There's a lot of value in reading with somebody else and having a coffee and spending time with one another without your phones. Although you can listen to this book on your phone because there's an
actually, I would suggest the Audible version because I read it in kind of a comic, spontaneous style.
Yeah.
And also I include 3 hours of my original songs that supplement the points and the lessons of each chapter. So for instance, and I'm just going to give you a little taste of one of the songs, which I wrote in 1994 when I was a little lost in the woods, and I did a men's initiation weekend that really raised a lot more questions than answered them. I was sold a storyline. Life is rough, so get tough. Go out and take what is mine. Stay in control. Get the upper hand. Cry no fear. Have no fear, cry no tears, learn to be Superman. Now that story is burning, going up in smoke. Can't live it any longer 'cause I'm being choked in the pitch black night. I'm looking for my heart. The light may be coming, but I'm still in the dark. Moving out the old, bringing in the new. Walking through the fire between the two. Moving out the old, bringing in the new. Walking through the fire between the two. And I'm going to skip 3 verses and go directly to the bridge, because the bridge is going to open up a little conversation. It's going to get Pete, be on your feet, because this bridge is going to cause you to ask me a question or to start a conversation. Okay. All of these years, prisoner of my fears, and I've been hiding my heart to bear it, like I've been hit in my stomach's pit, and I haven't come up for air yet. But as I take my first breaths, my heart is put to the test. There's a lot of emotion to feel. Sometimes it cuts like a knife, but I'm committed to life, and I know that the blade is slicing to heal, leaving what is real. Moving out the old, bringing in the new, and walking through the fire between the two. Moving out the old, bringing in the new, walking through the fire between the two. So let's recite. Let's cross the bridge one more time and then see what Pete has to say. So the bridge is, all of these years, prisoner of my fears, and I've been hiding my heart to bear it, like I've been hit in my stomach's pit, and I haven't come up for air yet. But as I take my first breaths, my heart is put to the test. There's a lot of emotions to feel. Sometimes it cuts like a knife, but I'm committed to life. And I know that the blade is slicing to heal, leaving what is real.
Yeah, love it. I love it. It's a lot of growing up in that song.
Yeah, exactly.
And understanding that this, look, I've got my own, we all have our own things, right? And that mindfulness, the ability to be like, hey, that didn't go perfectly. It's all right. Like we're going to keep going after it. Exposing yourself to things that might hurt you is part of living, in love and everything else. There's a lot of that. I thought of another song, Paul Weller, a musician from England, and he wrote this great song when he was younger, but as he's older now, it's reflective, and it's kind of like he's swimming in a pool of like nostalgia and life, and like the things that he thought were important are no longer important. But now that he's older, this song has a richness to it. In his voice, the words have evolved over time, and he knows how to create a different meaning, And so when we have these powerful words, cutting, like, hey, this cutting is trimming, and we're improving. Like it's a powerful. The bridge is maybe the best part of that song.
Yeah. And I know that the blade is slicing to heal, leaving what is real.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Trimming and pruning. Again, that elegance, that efficiency, and we want to multitask and do all these things, but you have to also do things well or not. But doing one thing really well, spending time in your morning, drinking a coffee, whatever it is, sitting with your loved one, even if it's just doing nothing right in that moment, that's doing everything.
You have a poetic stream of consciousness that I'm pleased that you share that on a podcast. You got to trust yourself enough to let your expression in public be more of a stream of consciousness than a polished, perfect reading from a script. I appreciate that about you.
Yeah. You brought up the word masculinity, and I think this is
I
a great
did,
spot
didn't I?
for us fellas. Yeah, because in modern society, folks like to assign things to other folks. Like I'm a native Californian, but someone might tell me that I don't belong here, right? Like that's a thing that might happen. I moved to Florida. Was I ever a Floridian? Yeah, I think so. I lived there for a little while. I've been to a lot of places. And so where you're from is defined not only by the place, the people, your neighbors, but by yourself. And if you don't ever feel comfortable in the place, and this all kind of goes together. My masculinity is my masculinity, right? And I can't put on a performance of masculinity. It doesn't give me the right to be an asshole, but it doesn't doesn't deny me the ability to graduate up through life and become a better person along the way. But when we talk about masculinity, it's oftentimes couched as, oh, you're a dude. Your default is that you're a bad person, right? And there's a lot of that messaging in that. I think we're responsible for our own masculinity. Yours is going to be different than mine, but that's fine. And as long as we're trying to be our best or do somewhere close to our best and try to be good people, whose business is it to determine what my masculinity is or isn't?
Yeah. Yeah. My masculinity, my right. We can start a new movement,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the way women have had to protect their rights, for their own bodies, to be in control of their own choices. Well, men, my best masculinity, I get to define it, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine includes tears, tissues, courage, vulnerability, going past my limits. I do. Yeah, I have a little bit of traditional values in my masculinity, but I also am a pioneer. And so I take myself way out of the comfort zone and I experiment, and then I come back and I write about it and I talk about it.
Yeah. That's that troubadour that you've got in you, trying to, I've been on this road. Let me explain to you, what's out there. It is part of what we do. And there is strength in all of those things. Having emotions, it's powerful. Having that masculine, like, hey, nobody else is going to lay these bricks. I'm going to get these bricks laid, and then you just like, I'll be goddamned if I'm going to be damned by this, and go out and do whatever that thing is. There's masculinity in that, we need a whole different variety of people. And as you archetype into something, you get the bad parts of the archetype too, because that is how it is. But if you have the character to withstand that part of your failing, even if you're not able to fix it, because, how often is it true? Like the thing that defines us, our strength is also our weakness, right? Like the person who is relentless. If you never relent when you should, whoops, it's like, oh man, I thought I was doing great things. And that's part of our struggle with our own masculinity, right?
Yeah. And everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, it's your ball game.
I'm going to let you hit the ball back. But when someone is going to critique you, they probably aren't as hard a critique as the person who stares back at you in the mirror. I know I'm a motherfucker to myself. I'm hard on myself, and I have to be like, lighten up, Pete. So, but yeah, let's talk about that.
All right. It's one of the main themes in the book. It's where was the inner critic born? What's its purpose? How do we tame it? How do we work with it? And I open up the conversation with a poem. I'll share a part of it with you guys. So
Please.
Talking about the inner critic. The critic will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worser or worse. It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo, and it pours on the guilt. That's the beverage of ego. It's there to protect you, to help you be strong. So it has to remind you you've done it all wrong. You're weak and you're lazy and you don't have a clue. That's your drill sergeant critic trying to motivate you. Your critic wants you to be all you can be, so it gives you these pep talks all day and for free.
Right.
Oh, the places you'll go and the guilt trips you'll travel as the critic plays judge and bangs down on its gavel.
Love it.
But you always can get some relief from your shame by projecting it onto the others you'll blame. For that is the critic at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest. Republicans, liberals, your parents, your ex. The world is just teeming with folks to correct. If only those fools could conform to your ways, you could get on with life without further delays. That's just part of it. It has a happy ending.
Yeah. There's a happy ending. Oh, good. Yeah. So what about the external critic? What are your thoughts on that? The people that
What does that mean?
Take a piece. Well, the people that want to assign you a negative value or maybe over celebrate you, the people who are external to your life that we allow to impact how we think and feel about ourselves. Again, the people that are like, you're a dude, your masculinity is toxic, blah, blah, blah. And, they say all these things. And boy, it's not designed to make you feel good. That's for sure. They're trying to take a piece out of you.
Yeah. Well, I just surround myself with people who love me. I live in a bubble. I don't have any critics around me. No, that's not quite the case. But I would say that if somebody says, Scott, you're a frog, in no matter what critical way they say it, I'm not going to really be all that affected because I fully 100% don't agree. I don't believe that I'm a frog.
Right.
So they can't make me hopping mad. But if they say something where a part of me does have a fear or a doubt, or I resonate a little bit with it, and I'm really not happy hearing it, then it's really a pointer. It points to more work for me to do in releasing self-judgment and being kinder to myself. Or maybe they have a point, and maybe I don't like their tone of voice, and I don't like the way it's constructed in this harsh, critical voice. But what if it was said to me in a very kind way? Is there value in me receiving this as feedback that can help me grow as a person? So I have to ask myself those questions and see what this feels like shit, but there's fertilizer in this. Let me find the fertilizer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Again, there's a lot there, right? In thinking about how you approach these things, and like we all, if we choose to, we need to withstand some critique, and we also crave rigor, right? And you might take that suggestion and you might say, I have considered that, but you know what? That's not for me. You don't have the license to tell me how to be a man. And so in this case, I'm going to disregard it. But that next person might come along and be like, have you thought about twisting this one knob right here? I don't want to play with that knob. And if you get that critique in a way that you go, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about swiveling my camera. Like, look, back in my spy days, it was all about the different specs: respect, introspection, perspective, all the specs. You have to consider all of them as you gather information. Not, I'm saying all of them, but you have to be mindful that they all exist. And so sometimes you want to change the camera that you're using so you can see, like, oh, I'm talking to a farmer from my point of view. What if I talk to a farmer from their point of view? What would that look like? And I think a lot of our self-critique and external critique, if it's good critique and it hurts, that's probably an area that you have already identified, but just haven't spent time doing work on.
Yeah. There's a few things that occur to me. Number one is there are people who just like to criticize. Some make a profession out of it. Movie critics or whatever.
Sure.
And it has been said that most movie critics are repressed movie directors. That if they would have given themselves 100% permission to go for their dreams, they wouldn't be a critic; they'd be a director. Right. And there's some truth to that. And it really works for me because very, very often when somebody gives me involuntary criticism, you know what I want to say to them? Look, I'm out on the playing field. I'm busting my ass. I'm getting tackled. I'm trying new things. You're in the stands. So just shut up, you know, go out and find your own playing field and learn from your own mistakes and, you know, get vulnerable instead, because it's really safe and it's really obnoxious to spend most of your energy criticizing other people who are taking risks and doing their best. You know, you have a life, go live it and stay away from worrying about how other people are doing. That's a distraction from you living your life. Yeah. That's what I'd like to say.
There's a lot in that, because we tend to take on things. We all sit in those stands. It just depends on the circumstance.
Circumstance.
We tend to take, circumstance. We all take that role and we play it. So like right now here in California, you know, we're being real critical, and rightfully so, of the elected leaders, you know, LA, California in general. But I'll tell you what, I don't want that job. And so some of that, I just got to give up to the person running it. They've got an impossible job, hyper demanding, you know, and as soon as you're like, you should have had all these resources in play, raise your hand if you want to pay for that. Well, I don't want to pay more tax.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but they know, and people know that there's been a huge screw up, and there's going to be some self-correction going on, whether we criticize them or not. But it is up to the citizens to voice strong opinions when something like that happens. I don't think it's helpful to say the Republicans did it or the Democrats did it. No. You know, that it's not about throwing blame around. It's about how do we problem solve so this never happens again.
Right.
How can we prevent this from happening again?
Yeah. We look ahead a lot and borrow a lot of trouble too. That's what humans do. And so we anticipate these things that are going to happen. And I like to use the environment when I talk about this. You know, I'm not making any kind of political statements for everybody listening. I'm just saying, if you're worried about global climate change or global warming or the consumption of carbon, okay, great. Are you going to go into that field? No. Okay, well, then your level of impact is going to be reduced because that's not your calling. And you're going to go do the other thing you're going to do. How much worry do you have to put into something if you're really not going to be professional, diligent, all these other things? If you're going to tell someone else how to live your life that way, if that's what you're going to do. But we tend to want to say, like, here is the solution. If everybody rode buses, you know, we would save the world, and they get their thing and that becomes their baby. And now they're selling me a baby instead of like, hey, how do we become better stewards of this planet? What do we understand? I don't want to put time into that. I don't got time to think about Syrian refugees. So I'm not even going to worry about it. It's okay to say, I'm not going to worry about that, whatever that thing is, because I have no impact on it. I have to manage my life. And if I manage my life better, I'm less of a problem to everybody else. We struggle with that. We struggle to say, I understand that kids are being sexually trafficked. I have no impact on that. So I'm going to go about the things that I can impact. I don't care who the president is. I don't care who the senator. Those people don't know me and I don't know them. I'm going to go work on my things. Be a better version of Pete or whatever it is.
I don't know how to respond to that, Mr. Pete, but I will say I like the fact that certain things break my heart. And you know, as you said, I cannot keep my heart open to all the suffering in the world, or I will just not have any energy left. And yet there are certain things that pierce through my armor and really get to me. For me, you know, but people suffering, children suffering, I don't like it. So it hurts, and I let it hurt, and I do what I can. But mostly, I'm an uplifter. So this is my job on the planet, isn't to correct social norms or get politically involved. I know where my leverage is, and that is to use my gifts to bring more smiles, laughter, and levity into the world, and sometimes to point out injustices and, you know, be funny about it, because that's my gift.
Yeah, And as you know, and I think this goes to sort of what I'm saying, and maybe we're just kind of not 100% is that, but that's fine to do that. You don't have to take on every cause. You don't have to activate for every mission.
Wow.
You know,
That's a recipe for being drained, and, and suicide would be the end result of that.
yeah, but you can enrich your life, improve your life, try to be valuable to other people in ways that you can manage, right? But if you take on every fight, gosh, all you're going to do is spend your life being disappointed in the fights that you can't win, Oh, I see you grabbing your guitar. I'm going to get out of the way and let you play your song.
All right, give me the first line. This is a song about what we were just talking about. Just give me the first sentence of the song.
Oh, okay. I care about everything, but I can't. Let me think about this. I can't care about everything, but I can care about you.
I can't care about everything, but I can care about you. I can learn to open up my heart despite different points of view. I can't be a bleeding heart for everyone, 'cause my heart would just die. I gotta open my heart when I can and let all the rest just fly. Can't have the world on my shoulders. I'm not meant to carry that boulder. I'm just meant to carry what I can. Let that be enough. I care about all the world, but not every moment of my day. I've got a job to do, and it requires laughter and play. So I'll let in your suffering and then shake it off and renew. I'll be myself in this world, and I'll let you be you.
Applause there. That's great. Yeah. I was thinking as you were doing that, because I was trying to lyricize with you. If you need a hand, you can ask, and I promise I'll try. But it might be that I'm simply not your guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah. People want to be helpful. How do you allow someone to help you? That's another thing too, is we're so desperate to solve every problem by ourselves that there's folks out there. I'm one of them. Like, hey, how can I help? I got a friend who lost his house in the fire, and I'm like, seriously, I don't have a lot of money, but I have time. I have a truck. I am strong, and if you need those things, they're available to you.
I can't wait to run into somebody that says, I don't have a lot of time to help you, but I have a lot of money. Just here's a blank check. You write it.
Yeah.
I just loved it. The first time I ever had a paid gig, I was so excited to be getting the gig. I never told them what I charged. I didn't even have a fee. I just, they said, rent a car, come up to the Catskills and entertain. We'll put you up in a hotel. Yeah. We'll pay, So I we didn't even discuss my fee. So at the end of the event, the guy who hired me came up to me and he ripped out a check from his checkbook. And he said, here's a check. It's blank. Fill in what you think you deserve. And I was like, what? I didn't look the part. I was like, maybe this is how people pay people nowadays. I don't know, know. So I wrote down, like, first of all, I thought, okay, $200. And then I thought, no, Scott, no, that you're underselling yourself. So I added 100. I gave myself my first raise. So I wrote the check, $300. I was really nervous. I gave it to him. He signed it, and that was that. thing, like
I know.
fill in, here's a blank check. And when I was going to sleep that night and I was just pondering, his words, fill in what you think you deserve, I heard a deeper voice as I was falling asleep say, that's pretty much what I said to you before you came into the body. Here's a life. It's blank. Fill in what you think you deserve.
Yeah. 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 It's spent some time I used to be a handyman. When I came back from war, I couldn't get a job anywhere. Just was invisible to people. So I had to go out and hustle. I'm not handy, but I'm good with people. And I picked up a client and turned it into part of my book of business. And she was an interior designer. And so she would say, can you drive with your truck and your strong muscles and go pick up this $10,000 table from the furniture market in San Francisco? And the answer is always yes, because I need money.
How about yes, and I'll take 10% of that table?
Well, the thing is we're just showing it like as part of a staging for a high-end house or something, right? A lot of times.
Okay.
And so I came back and she's like, what are you going to charge me? And I'm like, I'm going to, charge you $150 like normal. And she's like, I called you on a Saturday, said I needed it done today. He's like, you're not charging enough. You have to understand what you're worth. Your time is worth something. If you want to work weekends, that's up to you. But someone needs to pay you for that. Yeah. And so I learned like, oh my gosh. And so I don't know what the number is, right? Like Scott, like, what am I going to charge? I'm going to charge $100 extra. Pete would say, double it. Whatever you think you're going to charge someone, double it, because you're undervaluing what you do. You already had the gig. You already won it. The guy loves it. It's $400. I'll be back next year. Close the deal for next year too, or whatever it is, right? But we struggle with that valuing of what we do. Like, hey, you're an expert at what you do. You've written this book. You bring all this knowledge. You've spent time understanding your worth and what you bring to other people. It's wonderful, right? But we, I don't know, why do we feel so bad about saying, here's what I'm worth? And I'm not saying be ridiculous. It's $1 million, surprise, but you can look at what you do, what you would take, and then start doing the real math on the time, the rental car, all these other things, and say, all of these are legitimate business expenses. And here's the part that you're going to pay me. And that costs whatever it is, $500.
Is there a question in there? I don't know how to respond.
Be a question. Well, I mean, it's just in terms of valuing.
All right, valuing is, there's a young man. I live in a community here who he's, I would say, becoming aware of his scarcity consciousness and interested in building a prosperity frame of mind. And so I'm one of his mentors. So he said, how much should I charge for this trip to Costco, for people to get stuff for people? What's the right amount? And I said, wrong question. He said, well, what should I charge? Wrong question. Take the words right and should out of it and ask this question. What would I enjoy receiving for my time, my generosity? What would I enjoy receiving back in return? Yeah, boy, it's a more challenging question because there's more responsibility. Once you start thinking that there's one right thing to charge, then you don't have to think about what you're worth and what you want. And here's a young man who hasn't really asked those questions before, and I understand it can be really scary. Like me, I coach people. I charge $250 a session. And it sounds like a lot to a part of me, but then I think about, okay, well, I've spent probably close to $600,000 on coaches and therapists and stuff like that, all to train me to get to a place where my skill level in supporting people has reached a point which I consider master. Like I'm a master at helping people through their issues, whether it be trauma, codependency, whatever it is. I feel like I've achieved a certain mastery because I've been in training, and that training has cost. Van Gogh, no, not Van Gogh. All right, you'll tell me. There's some famous painter, like he was sitting there in an Italian village or wherever where he lived, and somebody said, "Oh my God, you're oh, I wish I knew, Mark Chagall, whatever his name was, he's famous. And
Yeah.
she said, I've always dreamed of having you take my portrait. Would you be willing? I see you have your sketch pad. And so he said, sure, sit down. And he did a portrait. And she said, wow, that was amazing. You know, how much should I pay you? And he said, $5,000. And she said, $5,000? It took you 10 minutes. And he said, Madame, it took me 10 minutes and 54 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right. The things that when someone hires me to help them produce their podcast, right? Look, I withstand all of their questions and everything because that's part of the process. But the thing I'll say to them is, you're coming to me because I've got 10 years and 2,000 plus episodes produced. Getting this thing produced is not going to be the problem. It's not the software, it's not the camera, it's not the microphone. All those things, that's all known, and there's a lot of variance, and so we're going to be fine there. I will guide you through that. Please don't worry about that. The hard part is, can you show up week after week, put 10 hours or $1,000 or whatever into your show so that you have something that's worthwhile. You want to monetize? That's why you hire me, because I'm going to show you, like, first off, I'm going to say, don't expect to monetize because you haven't earned the right to someone's time. Like, if you can't stand to hear yourself, like you make music, if you can't stand to hear yourself talk on a show, why should anybody else? Like, you have to get past these points before you can start to ask for things back. And so when we think about these things that we do, that we advise on and everything else, the thousands of hours that I've spent, the mistakes that I've made that I can point out and be like, don't approach it this way, approach it that way, or go straight over the top of that rock. Some people got to learn that way. That's fine. But don't worry about the production side. That's what I'm here for. Let's get you worried about how are you going to take on this project and allow it to grow into the thing that's going to grow, because like everything else in life, we don't know where this show will end up in 2 weeks, 2 years. So let's not act like we do. Let's act like we're going to make something, and let's do it. Let's make that thing. And it unlocks like the value of what it is that they're doing in terms of, and this is the things, I talk more people out of doing shows than I do land clients. I don't want a client that's going to quit in 10 weeks. That doesn't do me any good. It's hard to land a client. And so I'm telling them, if you want to start a business and it's small and it's going to struggle to make revenue, then you probably shouldn't do this. If you think this is a PR tool, then maybe we should. If you think it's a marketing tool, then maybe we should talk, right? But you have to look at this kind of a thing, this effort, these 10 hours, these $200 in bills and expenses. If that's not worth it to you, then you should assign your resources somewhere else. And all that advice costs money, but I'm glad to give that to somebody who wants to. I'm desperate for someone to create something, but understand. You're saying, I want to have a giant set of biceps. And I'm like, okay, prepare yourself. This is what that takes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think we all understand that if we want to get buff, we got to go to the gym, maybe 3, 5, 7 times a week. Mm-hmm. And that it's going to take time. But many of us, because of our cultural conditioning, we think, I'm going to go create a YouTube channel. I'm going to start monetizing, and it'll be yeah. Creative
sometimes
things.
The best advice is that. Go ahead.
No, it's the same thing as building muscles. Creative things, self-expression. It's going to take a commitment way beyond just, this is exciting, this is fun.
Yeah.
And
right.
within 6 months, I'll be, I'll quit my job.
You can grab that guitar, and within an hour, you and I can teach someone CDG, and they can play essentially every song in the world, and give them some time, and they'll be all right. But to sit live, grab a guitar, take a line from me, and then freestyle all the lyrics that you did in that song earlier, you don't get to do that for free. That takes time. That takes effort. It takes passion. And it's okay not to have that passion. It's okay to dream of like, I'd love to be a troubadour. I'd love to open up for Robin Williams. I'd love to do. Well, that's going to take all of this work. I'll shrink it up as much as I can for you, but you're still going to have to do the hours.
Yeah. And it takes effort to become effortless, to make it look easy. Because it is easy, but after you put the work in, then it's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. I can watch Willie Nelson play a D-shaped chord up and down the neck of that guitar. I can do that. But I can't make those sounds come out of my guitar like he does. He just up and down. It's the simplest playing you've ever seen. But there's 70 years of elegance.
And a lot of cannabis.
Yeah, a lot of cannabis for sure. Hey man, I want to wrap this up. It's been great talking to you, and I love thinking about how we think about ourselves and how we act towards others when we think about ourselves in different ways. That mindfulness, that sharing of real time. I love all of these things, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on in January, because we're all trying to be a better version of ourselves. 2025, staying alive, kind of thing. I dig it that you're here, man. I appreciate it. What do you want to say in closing before we wrap this up?
How do we want what to wrap it up?
What do you want to say in closing before I wrap this thing up?
Okay, so in closing, before Pete wraps this thing up, I want to say there's a way of you strutting your stuff. And that when you find what's juicy, you'll be good enough. And yes, there'll be bumps on the road. It'll be tough. But boy, is it worth it, because it's your life. And I want you to take a serrated knife and start cutting out things that are just distractions and go straight to your heart soul attraction. The one main thing that makes your heart sing will be the greatest gift you could ever bring to this world that's thirsty for you and for me to give our passion and energy. Buy my books. Go to my website, www.scottsongs.com, so that I don't have to get a real job.
I'm going to put the link for that right here. And you guys, all that stuff will be in the show notes too. So if you want to just make it easy and click on things, they'll be there. So super wonderful talking to you. Great start to my day. And I'm off to the next thing. Thank you so much. All
right.
Will you come back later on?
I'll consider it. No, of course I'll come back.
All right. Let me just say this to everybody else. Hey, it's the Break It Down Show. If you're new around here, go to breakitdownshow.com and you can click on any of the things. You can buy shirts. You can do all those things. Or if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Look, you guys know what to do. It's the Break It Down Show. We do shows all the time. Been at this for a long time. Welcome. Thank you. If you're here already, then we're friends. Give me a call. We'll talk. Scott, I will talk to you in a moment. Everybody else, have a great day.